Hey, good morning. It's Monday, November 17th, and we are tracking the forces at work on us at the moment. The news is, of course, always about AI and the absolutely ungodly amounts of money being spent on that industry. We've seen, for instance, AMD just announced last week that data centers are now, the biggest segment that they have. Well, Berkshire Hathaway has just disclosed a roughly $4.9 billion stake in Alphabet, according to Reuters. And this is a really rare thing. Buffett doesn't do this. It seems to be one of his last moves as CEO. And it's a pretty rare mega bet on a Magnificent Seven tech stock, which is kind of a big deal. The weird thing is, at the same time, we also saw that over the weekend, regulatory filings showed that Peter Thiel is selling about $100 million worth of shares in Nvidia. That is his entire stake in that company. Now, $100 million worth of stock is probably not a big deal to the guy who was, early to Facebook and Palantir and the rest of them. But it's also interesting coming from a guy, who has said in the past in an interview with Ross Douthat of the New York Times, he refused to endorse the idea that human beings should survive on this planet. So this is not a guy that is particularly, attached to I guess, abstract ideas beyond himself. This is a guy who's very much about, well, I don't even really know what the implication is of that, except to say that for someone like that to walk away from Nvidia suggests, I don't know, it's like a broker was telling me the other day, the accepted wisdom in investing is like when the crowd gets there, when small investors get to a stock, the party's kind of over. I wonder if that's perhaps true in Peter Thiel's world. And then I was at an event over the week, last week, that had to do with basically it was a bunch of consular officers from Asian countries listening to a number of regulators and Google people in a conversation that I moderated at Google's campus, thanks to the Asia Society, and learning from them sort of what kind of regulations they should be considering. The representatives from Korea, China, other Southeast Asian countries. Very, very interesting gathering. And one of the big complaints that they made was just, about how poor the support has been for languages other than English and the ways in which a translated English language model ends up being really a problem in a country where English is not the major language. Well, Meta has just released something called the Omnilingual ASR, which is an open source speech recognition model that's supposed to support 1,600 languages and position itself as the voice layer of global AI. Meta, saw its stock price fall when it announced that it was going to be spending more than $70 billion building its AI capacity. But it does occur to me that if they can actually get involved in language recognition, maybe there's something, some new sort of value there in the world beyond the United States. There might be something there. And last week, just to point out a funny thing, Russia has been hyping this this humanoid robot called Idol that was supposed to make it made its debut on the 11th last week. And man, it made this walk out on a stage with these two handlers behind it. And I don't mean to be stereotypical about Russia, but this thing looked drunk. It looked extremely drunk. And we've seen other models debut recently. A company called Neo, or the Neo, was debuted. I talked about it on ABC News at one point. And that was an interesting, sort of like, can it load the dishes for you or fold your laundry? Could it help you up, if you fall? Like, is it the kind of all-in-one humanoid that we could, use to take care of the incredible boom in elderly people that's about to arrive in the United States? Well, I'll tell you right now, this Russian thing is not ready. This drunken thing gets out on stage. It staggers around for a second. It's got a weird kind of face to it. If you take a look at it, it kind of looks like Putin in a weird way. It's kind of got his chin. It's a very odd thing. Anyway, it stumbles around for a second and then fully face plants, and it's the framing of it comes off, the surface paneling comes off. It is bad. It didn't look good. And for years, I've been going to events where humanoid robots are on display, and they're either always incredibly slow or staggering and stumbling and eventually falling down like a set of stairs or off a curb or whatever. We are still so far away from a humanoid robot helping us out. I think that is really the lesson of that. And the only other thing I'll point out coming up this week that I think is really worth paying attention to is that Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is supposed to visit the White House this week with a big package. He's bringing a lot of money with him. That includes security guarantees, a $600 billion U.S. investment pledge, AI technology access, and a civilian nuclear deal, which is something that the AI people are really excited about because they're about to create a technology that's going to absolutely blow out our capacity to make electricity in this country. And just the rolling out of the red carpet for a guy, right, who has been in partnership with Trump's family, such as Jared Kushner gave a huge amount of money to him for investment purposes. All of that combined with this new anything goes attitude about AI development, nuclear power, the rest of it, it's all very powerful. So just the swarming invisible forces of AI investment are still the sort of the centerpiece of this thing. I'll just remind everybody, like 1/3 of the change in GDP between last year and this year was entirely just the capital expenditures on AI. The incredible money they are investing in building data centers. It is unbelievable how much money is being spent in that way and how normalized it has become in this crazy way. And so one thing we'll want to watch coming up is that this week is going to be the earnings call for Nvidia, and we'll see whether that incredible amount of money is going to keep going, what their earnings are going to look like, what the market's going to say about that. The CEO Jensen Huang said that the company has around $500 billion in AI chip orders for 2025 and 2026. Now, when I do these kinds of roundups, I'm not talking about these things because I care about who's up and who's down. I'm not here to help you make investment decisions. I'm not a sports fan covering the athletes. What I'm talking about here is power. And the theme here is that the power of the incredible circular investment relationship that is the AI infrastructure world right now is still driving the bus. And now we're seeing, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia come to the United States and try to help solve, or help be part of that infrastructure solution, funding the infrastructure. That's the golden ticket right now. And so it continues to be the case. So we'll be watching these headlines this week. Tomorrow, Tuesday, I'll be looking at, we'll take a deep dive on one particular story. I'm going to be looking at some historical examples later in the week. And I thank you as ever for tuning in. If you like this and you want to hear more, you can check out theripcurrent.com where I publish a newsletter. And don't be afraid to subscribe and share. Thanks so much.